Good afternoon and welcome back. And we really are in the final run to the finish. But I think we might have saved the best till last. We've had some amazing sessions, amazing speakers, but I think you're really going to enjoy this one. There's somebody even on the phone who wants to join in. Um, so this brand has only been around for a handful of years. They've got, I think at last count, 2.4 million followers on Instagram, 4.5 on TikTok. It's claimed to be the fastest growing non-alcoholic drink brand in history. Um, it's a combination of, let's say, edgy marketing, which does tend to shock some people. Um, they had a video that was banned on Facebook. It was images of waterboarding. However, it was banned, but not until it had over 3 million views. So you're starting to get an idea about what this brand is all about. Their strap line is "Murder Your Thirst," and I think you've a lot of you got cans, and maybe when you go out, there are cans at the back there that please pick up one, and you can make sure you recycle it, or you'll die, because that's what it says on the can. Okay. Um, they've also had a number of different ads. They've got one in particular featuring a porn star who tells us not to fuck the planet and to recycle. And another one with a severed head, and they're playing basketball. So I think you probably get an idea about this brand, and you really want to hear more about it. So, are you ready to sell your soul? Yeah? You know that, don't you? You know it. So please welcome Hamid Saifi and Matt Rickert from Liquid Death.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we get into it, just a quick show of hands. So obviously there were some people who know the brand. So who's heard of Liquid Death? Okay, wow. And who has already sold their soul for eternity? A few. So there's a few souls in this room that you guys are going to get at the end of this.
Love it.
Okay, so I mentioned a couple of things there uh, about about what you guys have been up to in terms of the marketing, which I've got to say, in my 25 years of retail, I've never known anything quite like this. It's incredible. So let's kick off with that. A couple of figures that I read out there. You've got a massive following in a very short space of time. Where did this all? How did it come about? Where did it all come from?
Yeah, so the premise of Liquid Death is kind of based on the idea that one, most brands are really, really, really boring, and they do things in a very specific and typical way. But the genesis behind the brand was when you see some of the most like edgy marketing out there, it tends to be for like the things that are the worst for you, energy drinks, snacks, sodas, and things like that. So the premise around the brand was like, what if we took the healthiest thing on earth, which is water, and package it in the same way and market it with the same energy that the worst for you stuff have out there in the world. And so that's how the brand kind of came about. Um, and really, it was a very simple premise: is like we're water in a can. There's only so much you can talk about products and benefits and all that stuff. So it's a very entertainment-led brand. It's supposed to make people laugh, even though it's called Liquid Death. It's not about being hardcore or brutal or like death. It's really a tongue-in-cheek, funny kind of tongue-in-cheek brand. That's really what the brand stands for.
And how has that gone down? Because I think it's fair to say we'll probably drill into this a little bit, but I think it's fair to say that some people, a lot of people, absolutely love it, and it's almost like a cult following. And you get some people who, yeah, not so sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we kind of feel like that if you're not pissing off people, you're probably doing something wrong. So for us, like we are provocative. It's intended to be provocative. The ads that we make are very polarizing. There's a group of people that get it. There's a group of people who don't get it. But we've been able to take some of the more hate-driven stuff that we get from early people when we first launched the brand to even now who wished bankruptcy upon the brand or that anyone who worked at Liquid Death were some of the stupidest people on planet Earth to work for the brand. We've taken some of those hater comments and we've used them for our own good. So we use hater comments that we get from social in ads that we make. And then we've also started to produce music albums where all the lyrics are driven off of hater comments. So, and that album is called Greatest Hates. So we have now 3 volumes of Greatest Hates. The first one was a hardcore metal album. The second one was a punk one. And then we just launched one a couple of months ago, which is more like 80s Madonna synth pop kind of a world. All of those, you can buy the vinyl of it. They're all on Spotify. But again, like most brands, when I get hater comments, I think you kind of cower and you go, oh, Teresa from Illinois said something bad about my brand, so let me go change it. Whereas we've leaned into some of the hate comments and used them for our own good.
Yeah, I particularly like the one that said I'd rather cut my own dick off than presumably drink.
Yeah, Matt and I say that all the time. Yeah. Yeah.
That's how we start every meeting.
So tell us a little bit more about how you go about engaging with your customers. It almost feels like it's kind of assumed a life of its own. But
Yeah.
how do you go about that?
Yeah, I think like, so I talk to a lot of small
I'm going to try some, by the way.
Yeah, go for it. I talk to a lot of small brands, and every brand wants to figure community out. And it's a slide that goes, build community. But like, building a community is really, really hard. In early days at Liquid Death, we kind of just got out of the way and let the community kind of like do its own thing.
Oh, God, it's disgusting.
Oh, you're gonna die.
Don't drink it, okay?
Yeah, overstayed. But the community kind of built itself out because as we got advocates and loyalists behind the brand, in the comment threads, if people were hating on it, early days, we would actually respond to some of those comments and try to negate it and put a positive spin on it or have a witty response. Well, we started to see like 3, 4, 5 months in, our community was just kind of like handling business themselves. Like they were going after the trolls, they were going after the haters. We eventually built this community that it wasn't like we sat in a boardroom and figured out like, oh, how do we build community? But the premise was if we make people laugh and entertain them enough and do things that feel different and give them honestly a really good fucking product. Like the product was originally from Austria and it was premium water and delivered a really good product that we could build a community around that. And that's kind of what we've had. And so we built this community and it's the tentacles have extended in different ways, but we now have 250 plus people on planet Earth that have tattooed Liquid Deaths on their bodies. Everywhere. We got our first head tattoo last year. We got one where the guy's entire skull is tatted with a Liquid Death skull tattoo. So, like, that's the metric that we probably give the most a shit about is that. It's not like, oh, our CTRs are up or our CACs are down. It's about, like, we've got this really rabid fan base of a following.
Yeah. Now, for those of us, I'm based just outside London, so in the UK, you just hit the UK market. I'm not quite sure whether people are ready for it, but I'm sure it's going to take off the same way that it has over here. So, Matt, I'll come to you. Tell us a little bit about, because you're more on the operation as opposed to the marketing side of the business. Tell us about some of the perhaps the more practical challenges and so forth of that. Because I think for people who know, at the moment in the UK, you can purchase through the co-op and also Amazon UK. And are we able to talk about later in October?
Yeah, I think we're close enough that we're going to be with Tesco next month. So definitely starting to make the footprint expand into the UK and obviously continue to push that through the EU and basically trying to take global domination. Why not? One of the biggest challenges for the supply chain side of things is trying to continue to scale to support this growth. When the marketing machine is running full speed ahead and everybody wants this product, you have to be able to have the product on the shelf. Because the quickest way to lose any momentum is not having the product when you see that ad and you want to go out and buy that and be part of this kind of cult following that we're creating here. So that's been one of our biggest challenges. And then, you look at the last 2 years post-COVID with the ocean freight side of things and the delays we're running into of getting product from Austria, but yet still putting strategies together at our 3PLs to be able to have the right inventory levels to still service, even though some shipments were delayed 120 days because of different variants or issues at the port. So that's been one of our biggest challenges and trying to continue to support this growth across the board.
Now, you were telling me, I think most people in the room are probably aware that there's a certain motor race that's happening here in about 6 weeks and seems to be causing chaos in Vegas.
I may have heard of it.
And there's some drinks company which is the official partner. Tell us a bit
Yeah,
about that.
definitely. It's Liquid Death. We're going to be the official water of the Formula One race. And as we've been kind of putting the plans together, just to put that in kind of perspective, we're planning to ship 85 truckloads of water in to support that day of the race. So definitely a huge opportunity for us, and pretty awesome to support such an awesome event.
Now, talking about products, so I think right, you started with water, but however, as we've seen, I think from some of the cans which are available, there's iced tea and there's also some flavoured water. What can you tell us about on the product side about future plans and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, we're always going to have innovation, but I think the way the brand started was to be very methodical about like SKU growth. So we had one singular SKU for the first 18 months of the business, which is our still water in the white can. And it was just about like trying to get product market fit. People like it, or is this brand going to exist? Like, what's going to happen? So after the first 18 months, we launched an unflavored sparkling. That lasted us for another year. And then we launched sparkling flavors. And then we launched iced teas earlier this year. So we're a healthy beverage platform and company. That's what kind of what we stand in position on. So people come up to Matt and I all the time. They're like, you guys should make an energy drink, or you guys should make a sports drink. It's like, yeah. And if we ever did things like that, it always has to ladder into this healthy beverage platform. Better for you, better, ingredients, lower calories, caffeine content, all that stuff. So there will continue to be innovation for Liquid Death. Some of it can come in the form of beverages. We also have a very thriving merch business that we sell through our D2C. That's another product that we offer. And then some of it might come through content. We've made a Liquid Death movie, which is available on Prime Video. We've done albums. We obviously have a partnership with Live Nation where we're at festivals. So there's a wide range of how we think about product, service, content, all that stuff, and kind of the roadmap for the brand moving forward.
Sure. Now, in a moment, I'm going to open it up for questions because I'm sure there's plenty here. And we got a roving mic, which is Anthony to my left, your right, over here. Anthony, put your hand up. Yeah, he'll be rushing over to you with the mic in a second. Before we get to that, though, just a little mention. I think it's worth mentioning, and that's another strapline of yours, which is Death to Plastic. Just tell us a little bit about that, because that's kind of getting a little bit more serious about doing the right thing for the planet.
Yeah, when we first launched Liquid Death, there weren't a lot of water brands that were in infinitely recyclable aluminum cans. You're seeing more and more of that. Other brands have kind of come into that space. But it's not an inherently ownable thing. We weren't the first brand, and obviously we're not the only brand now. So for us, the way we think about sustainability is, we have the tagline, death to plastic or recycle and die. We use both of those. But we do sustainability messaging in a way that feels fun and not shaming people. So we're not shaming people. Like, it's not like, if you guys have seen that Sarah McLachlan ASPCA video where it's like there's emaciated dogs and it's asking you to donate. So we don't do that. What we do is we have a porn star telling you not to fuck the planet. Or we have another campaign where it's called Keep the Underworld Beautiful, where there's demons in hell that are saying, you guys are just recycling or not recycling enough, and all the bullshit plastic is spilling into hell, and it's interfering with our ability to torture people. So we do sustainability like that. That's the premise. It's in a fun way to just get people like considering and thinking about it. And it's built up. Like, we didn't go into it saying we're going to lead with sustainability. But as people started advocating for the brand, it was like, this brand is fun and different. Oh, and it's good for the environment. So it started becoming something people were playing back, even though we weren't putting a ton of media and or investment behind it.
Yeah. Sure. Okay, right. I'm going to open it up to you guys. If you've got a question, put your hand up and wait for the mic to come to you. At the front here. If you don't mind us saying who you are and where you're from. Thank you.
We are a Dubai-based logistics company. First of all, Hamid, very fascinating and super refreshing. I walk into my office every day with my flasket full of, the choice of the day. Every time I go back to the GCC, Kuwait, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, UAE, I have all my friends asking me to sort of bring Liquid Death with me. Obviously, it's a logistical nightmare to go internationally. And I know we love the brand in that part of the world. Obviously, it's hot as balls. Everyone has a special relationship with sugary drinks, so they're trying to switch. So there's a big, it's a big market in the Middle East, and countries like Kuwait have something like the highest rate of bodybuilders per capita. You know, so do you guys have any plans to get over there? And how do you see yourself expanding in these parts of the world who may not have the same tolerance to certain humor?
I think that's the challenge as this brand becomes an international brand, is keeping the DNA of the brand and the humor still kind of alive, because it's so much of it's predicated on humor landing. So I think, the same approach we took to SKU growth, we take to markets that we get into and invest in. So we go in there, we test a little bit digitally, we see how the market performs, we do a couple of, retail accounts, and then it kind of just expands from there. We also want to make sure we have enough like boots on the ground and support. A lot of the reasons why this brand really took off in the States was, we didn't have any media budget that was close to any competitors or other brands out there. But what took the brand to another level was we couldn't pay anyone for sponsorship dollars, but we said, we'll give you free product. So any cool event that was going on in the US in the 2019, 20, and even to today, we would give product and we would see product to all these events. And people just started hearing about the brand, and that became a media vehicle for us. So as we get into these other markets, it's kind of the same playbook that we want to follow. So is it on the horizon? Yes, any and everything. There's a market where we think that we can have success in and still keep the roots and the DNA of the brand intact, we'll definitely do it. Yeah.
Okay, we've got time for one more. So who's got a question? Come on, you must have one over here. Anthony's doing his sprint again. Well done. Yeah,
give that man some water when he's done.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Rickert from Schneider Electric, based in Nashville, Tennessee. Quick question. So with this growth trajectory, how do you forecast? So what's your approach to forecasting?
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge for us. There's no doubt, and especially as we continue to innovate and come up with new flavors and new markets, there's not really a playbook out there that we're able to copy, because we have such a unique way of doing things. So forecasting is definitely probably one of the top challenges we're running into right now, and just trying to ensure that we have the right product in the right place at the right time. We have been leaning way more into having more inventory than not enough inventory, as I kind of talked about earlier. But as you continue to scale and you're holding, 2 and 3 months worth of inventory of much bigger sales numbers, it becomes a lot bigger cash outflow that we're holding and costs at our 3PLs. So we're starting to kind of dial in that strategy and understand that, it's okay if you don't have 100% fill rate on things, if we're still strategically doing things properly from the way we're storing and maintaining that cash flow balance. So but it's definitely one of our top challenges of trying to understand what the market looks like and what that forecast is.
Yeah, and the forecasting thing it's always been a challenge, because it's just so hard to tap into what the demand is going to be, because if we have one hit on a podcast, that changes things. So it's been a tough one to kind of corral. And I know people talk about, oh, that's a good problem to have. Matt and I sometimes are like, oh man, we got to figure that out. So yeah, it's good, and we're thankful and very grateful for the position that we're in. It's fantastic, but it's definitely something we're fine-tuning over time. Yeah,
Absolutely.
Okay, well, we're out of time. We knew that 20 minutes would fly by. So please join me in thanking Hamid and Matt from Liquid Death.
Thank you.